watching The 9.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the program. This came out yesterday, folks, and thought it was important to pass it along to you. As the FDA plans to roll out the fall booster shots for COVID, Pfizer is trending this morning after Pfizer executive Janine Small admitted to the European Union Parliament that her company did not test the vaccine for preventing transmission of COVID, even as many in the public health sector, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, said a number of times that, quote, "You become a dead end to the virus." Here's the exchange at the EU Parliament.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market. And from that point of view, we had to do everything at risk.
So obviously we know now that regardless whether or not you are vaccinated or not, you can still get and transmit the virus. Here's the thing for me, ladies. Just tell us then, right? Just tell us. Be honest. Not only Pfizer, but our public officials. Be honest with us. To say that, this shot will stop transmission, you will be a dead end to the virus, when you know it's not true because it hasn't been tested for that. It just leads, to me, to a mistrust of our institutions, and I think that's bad.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I go right to, I am eager to lock down this family situation. It's coming. Not yet. I had a hamburger, perhaps. Don't ask me. But in all seriousness, I wanted to add to this. A large study finds menstrual changes after COVID vaccine, which is a question that I was asking doctors here that we even had on this program. And my experience was, nope, there's no proof that this is happening. So I was in the process last year, just being very open and honest, as I always am with you. I was in the process of freezing my eggs. And right when it was time for the retrieval, they told me there was no point in doing it at that time because there would not be enough. $6,000 I lost. And it was because I stopped having periods. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. I stopped for a long period of time after I got the vaccine. And I was bringing this up to my doctors. I was saying, I know for a fact that I want to have a baby. I know I want to live. I don't want to get COVID again. I don't want to be in the hospital, but I do want to have a child, and I do need to know whether or not this will affect me. So this is a study of 35,000 people, the most comprehensive study that has been done so far. And it does show that many, many people had the same issue that I did. After being fully vaccinated, they experienced changes in their menstruation. We know for African American women especially, the dangers of honestly just having a child in terms of what our bodies go through, how Black women historically are treated by doctors. And so I definitely felt very dismissed and like nobody was listening to what I was saying. And to your point about why don't you just tell the truth, I do recognize this is a new study. Perhaps they didn't necessarily have this information, and what we went through was very much so in real time. I do give the doctors slack and credit because nobody has been through what we all just survived in the last 2 years.
Here's where I don't. You feel lied to. To say that something is something that it's not, and you're shamed.
Yeah.
We were shamed into thinking that if we didn't do this for our neighbor, we were bad. And I just think when you don't have that information, that leads and goes down a road. Well, how do I know what you're telling me next time is truthful? And again, I know it was a show, but it was based on actual events, and that was Dope Sick on Hulu, and it was about the opioid pandemic. It just happened, and members of the FDA now work who signed off on all this oxycodone, now working for the company, the Purdue family. I would say this as well, because I think this is important moving forward. This happened on Monday. Dr. Paul Offit from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, who's a member of the Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee, went on the local NBC station in Philadelphia on Monday and said the FDA is not consulting with this Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee in advance of the fall booster program. He says the reason you don't consult with that committee is because the data then becomes public and you don't want the people to see the data. I find that extremely damning.
Absolutely it is. Different than what I'm saying, and there is a caveat in there in terms of taking care of your neighbor, because I mean, my father is my best friend. And so I do want people to be honest about their vaccine status, or more so, if you know you've been in contact with somebody, it's the coming to work and exposing other people because you feel like it's not that big of a deal. And that's not what you're saying, but that part in terms of take care of your neighbor, you know, I do want to be taken care of by my neighbor, please.
And last thing I'll say about this, another issue, potentially, our policies are not changing. We're still essentially forcing healthy college-age kids to get this, and we don't know, we do not have the data on how that's going to affect them moving forward. If you want to get it, but to have policy at public universities that you must get the vaccine in order to get financial aid, and that is a policy at our local public universities, that is incredibly abhorrent to me.
Specifically, the not knowing the effects moving forward.
Yes.
And I would tend to agree with that. Because nobody knows for sure. So when you're talking to your doctor, we actually should yield to the health report who hasn't had a chance to say anything. But when you're talking to your doctor, you know, I'm taking that as gold. I'm taking that as you know for sure what you're saying. And I'm really not considering that down the line things can change. So this, to me, was something that was hurtful and very disappointing. And I'm not speaking over my life, by the way, or any of you ladies at home. We'll be okay. But we just wanted to know no, instead of no, that's not going to happen.
Right.
It's fine.
And I think that there, you know, and with women in particular, women who want to have children, and I talked to college-age women who were worried about the vaccine for that reason. Now, as far as my interviews with infectious disease doctors, they have pointed out at this point there has been no correlation made between the vaccine and creating long-term impacts on a woman's ability to have a child or have a healthy child.
Right.
But certainly, and I think I think COVID too also impacted menstrual cycles, maybe reproductive health. So it's, and women, especially women of color, women in general are often underserved when it comes to medical research.
Yeah.
So a lot of it just focuses on men historically, the general population. So I get it. There's it's scary, and we're starting. And whenever you combine big pharma with turning that into government policy, that's a real funny territory to be in, where we're taking recommendations from Pfizer, the company that's going to make millions in profits off of us doing what now our politicians are telling us to do. So it is hard. We did, I think during pandemic, we said a lot, go to your family doctor and go to a trusted doctor. But those are big deal, and it's my heart aches for women, especially, and maybe it's because I'm a mom, but women who want to have children and who feel like maybe that has been jeopardized in some way for either because of pandemic or, you know, because of the vaccine.
Yeah.
So that's a
You know, and when you're talking to your doctor and you're saying, I want to do the right thing, I want to be healthy, this is what I want, but I just need to know for sure that I'll be okay. And sometimes you might feel like you've been deceived because you know they don't know the answers, and also you feel like what you're telling them is happening, they immediately say is not. So you feel dismissed. And to be clear, I'm not speaking of my doctor, Dr. Dooley. I love you, not her. But in looking, these ladies in this IVF center with me, I mean, ferociously Googling everything at all times. And when I was in that space, that's also all that I was doing. Again, the first round, unsuccessful for me, but I also want to see the same work done with long COVID, because when we tell you we are not the same as we were a year ago, or the same before my hospitalization, there are real mental differences that come with a COVID hospitalization. And I want to see the research on that as well, and I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, I just heard a statistic today about long COVID. About 20% of people say that they are changed either physically, mentally, maybe both, after having COVID. So it's one of the things with the pandemic where for some people who didn't, maybe you got a mild case of COVID, or maybe you escaped getting it all, you might not realize, but these long-term impacts are going to be with us for a long time.
Yeah.
And we have to, and at the same time, I'll say, we were in a crisis mode where we needed to stop this virus. Right?
We were.
And so that's why everyone was trying to figure out, okay, what should I do for my family, my little circle, for me, and what can I do for my community? And it's tough.
And this is good, and maybe this is the Black producer Nicole, but you want it to be true.
Yeah. Well, not only that, and all of those things are true. We're learning about all of this as it's happening. I think for me, trust takes years to earn and seconds to burn.
Absolutely.
And just tell us what you know, and just say, this is a moving virus. This is a moving target. We don't know what we don't know.
And right back to you, because one of the first things that was done, and in a moment of transparency, it was very clear that I lost my thought right there. And I think I lost it again. But one of the first things that they did was make sure that they couldn't be sued. But then you can't, to me, don't do that. Don't not want to be sued and then also be dishonest. And I knew and that's what I wanted to get to you.
And that's just it's just a trust thing for me. We're big people. We can handle it. Just tell us.
Yeah, tell us what you don't know.
Yeah.
Many times, and we see this in all facets of life, right? People don't want to say, I don't know.
Yeah. Certainly don't shame us. Right? Certainly don't do that.
Not if you don't know. Not if you don't know. And also, the definitive, I felt like I just got the definitive. There is no correlation between. There is no link. But when you think about what that really means, it's like, we don't know yet. But I want you to say it that way so that I receive it that way, because I'm trusting you as a doctor, as a health authority. When you say there is no proven link, that seems like now or ever, and maybe that's just me, but that is absolutely how I interpreted that. There is no proof that that's happening. Nope, not at all.
And we do know that with research, the goal is always to be disproving this set of facts. So, and that's why it seems like, people laugh about there's always a new study. Coffee's good one day, it's bad the next.
Yeah.
But the goal of researchers and scientists is they are trying to chip away at truths to make sure to either verify or to say, listen, we have a new set of data here that's telling us, so that, they're constantly reevaluating, which can feel very much like constantly changing their minds.
because to people who want a family and children, oops, we didn't know, is not good enough.
No.
I don't know about you, but I thought that was a very thoughtful conversation. Let us know what you think about it. Hashtag the 9. Go to Twitter. We'll share your comments a couple times throughout this hour. It is a rainy day outside, is it not?